What's up everyone, thank you for making this video part. I'm so excited to upload this one for you guys because for this talk around the block, I figured that since last time we talked about how much I'm into like the anime music, I figured that why not we just talk about what kind of anime I'm into. So if I remember correctly, I remember back in 2014, I really wasn't that much into anime. However, I did realize that I did watch a lot of American anime, kind of like shows like RWBY, Last Airbender, Yu-Gi-Oh, Digimon. And for me, I think what really hooked me on to Japanese anime, like for full-on anime, was that my cousin, he told me that hey, you should watch this series called Sword Art Online. They're in their second season right now, and I'm like, I'm not really into it. But then he said that, hold on, they have lightsabers in season 2, and I'm like, wait, hold on, there's an anime with lightsabers? Dude, sign me up, I'm in. And so in 2014, I basically binged through the first season of Sword Art Online on Netflix, and I absolutely loved it. Then I basically went on to watching season 2 as it was progressing on throughout that year, and I just freaking loved it. I just could not get so much of it. I could not get enough. And then after that, I basically started to discover more and more anime as time went on. And like I said in the last video, is that I started getting introduced to more and more anime simply because of the music they were using for their intros. And I think I've gotten a lot attached to a lot of anime like Fate series, the Demon Slayer, and a lot of other series as well. Anyway, let me just give you a full list of anime that I like, and I'll probably give you a follow-up description on each and every one of them. So for me, my personal favorite anime are obviously Sword Art Online, Demon Slayer, RWBY. I also like what was it? I'm zoning out right here. Zombieland Saga, Ascendance of a Bookworm. Let's see, there's also, shoot, I'm blanking out right now. Goblin Slayer. I also like, wow, it's really hard to think right now while I'm walking at the same time. My lungs are expanding in and out as I'm talking right now. Oh yeah, now I remember, yeah. Rising of the Shield Hero, Knights of Sidonia, Your Lie in April. And I think that's as far as I can remember for now, but let me give you a brief description on most of the anime that I just mentioned. So I remember talking about in the last video about, I think, a bit about Sword Art Online, Demon Slayer, and Zombieland Saga. But for animes like Ascendance of a Bookworm, which I'm currently watching right now, oh my god, for me, I love it so much. And what it's basically about is this librarian who died in her first life. She gets reincarnated as a little tiny Tim girl in her second life. But the thing is though, in the world she's in right now, there's books have never been invented yet, or they're so well expensive, only nobles can purchase them. So she's doing all that she can to make her own book in this world where it's basically impossible for her. But because she's read so many books in her past life, she basically knows how to do it. So, and I love how this little girl, her determination is pushing her forward. And the drama also, there's a little bit of drama, and it's so well written. Now for the exact opposite, which is Goblin Slayer, I mean, wow. I remember back in 2018 when I watched it, I remember hearing a lot of the internet breaking in 2018 was that oh my god, Goblin Slayer episode 1, it's so graphic, I can't get through episode 1. My cousin was saying I'm asking my cousin, hey, should I get into Goblin Slayer? And he goes, no, don't go watch a Goblin Slayer. I couldn't get past episode 1. I'm like, what the hell's up with everyone in this episode 1? So I found it on YouTube actually. I guess it was pretty cool how I was able to find it on YouTube and watch the whole series from there. But I remember watching episode 1 on YouTube and I was like, okay, let's see what everyone's all talking about. And I'm watching and I'm like, oh damn, I remember why. I know why that everyone is freaking out about this. I watched it and it's freaking gory and graphic as hell. I mean, wow. And people were thinking wow, this beat Attack on Titan. I think from I remember Attack on Titan had a very graphic intro, and I remember this one was damn, this is the opening scene for the whole series. And I watched it and I was like, after the first 5 minutes of it, I was like, huh, it's actually pretty damn good, because I'm watching this guy. It's about this adventurer. He's basically called the Goblin Slayer because all he does is just slay goblins. And to me, I always thought of him as the Punisher in the Middle Ages, because all he does is find creative ways to just kill and kill and kill those little green suckers. And I think it's pretty cool. And the music he plays in the background, dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun. Having a heavy metal music play in a fantasy anime, that's badass. And the way he's his eye glows and his armor's shining and in the shadows, and he just comes out just swinging with his sword and shield. I think it's pretty cool. And once I got past episode 1, I was like, okay, I'm sold. I'm gonna watch some more of this. And I watched more. I love how basically it's him and his little party going around on adventures, just killing goblins. That's all they do, is just kill goblins. But the way they do it, the way they find more interesting ways just to take out those little green suckers, it's pretty damn cool. Another anime I watched while I was watching Goblin Slayer was The Rising of the Shield Hero. And for me, that was the most infuriating anime I've ever watched in my entire life. But let me first give you a brief summary, which is basically about these 4 guys who have been summoned to this magical world, and each guy is given a specific tool or weapon that'll help him fight for the kingdom against these hordes of monsters. And each hero has basically, they're given either a sword, a spear, a bow and arrow, and a shield. Now everyone is treated well except for the shield hero, and for him, like, he's treated like garbage over there, to the point where he's like, why the hell did you guys summon me in the first place? They forget that, I'm out. Well, the night he was about to leave, he was trying to go back home, he was falsely accused of a crime that he did not commit by the princess. And it's like, wow, this princess, she makes my heart go into a rhythmic every time I see her on screen, because every time she was on screen, she found ways to ruin his name and basically put him like in a downward spiral. And it's like, oh my god. I mean, I was getting heartburn every time I saw her on screen, and every time she was on screen, I was like, this girl needs to die. I mean, I've had enough of this. It was just, it almost came to the point where I was like, if this doesn't get resolved, I'm freaking not watching this anime. However, and I think it was episode 21, after the entire series, episode 21 was where things finally come crumbling down on her, and I was like, oh, thank God, thank God. And I could finally rest a little bit. But I mean, I really love the show. It felt almost like Jumanji mixed with like a fantasy series, because basically, yeah, they were sucked into this world. They basically have like video game stats, but everything for them, it's real. I mean, like, you could die in this world. So yeah, I really love The Rising of the Shield Hero. I also mentioned in the last video that I really like the Fate series, but now I realize that I have like a love-hate relationship with the Fate series, because I remember back at, like, I think it was after I finished watching Sword Art Online, my cousin, like, she said, hey, you should also watch the Fate series. And I'm like, okay, which one should I watch? Because there's Fate Zero, Fate Stay Night, Unlimited Blade Works. Which one should I watch first? And he goes, okay, yeah, you might want to start with Fate Zero, because that leads into Fate Stay Night, Unlimited Blade Works. So I'm like, okay, I'll watch it. Got through the first whole series, and I was like, oh my god, Fate Zero was like, god, it was so boring for me. If I could summarize this whole thing in one comment, is that it's basically, it's the Star Wars prequels, because while there's really good action, the majority of the anime is just talking and meetings and like planning, and I'm like, oh my god, I don't know if I can handle this. But I remember I had to push on forward, because I remember I was thinking, okay, a lot of people have been saying Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works is pretty good. So I was like, okay, let me push forward. Well, I got through Fate Zero, and once I got into Fate Stay Night, I was thinking like, okay, here we go. Watched it, freaking loved Unlimited Blade Works, because I loved how basically it was the exact opposite of that. Because while everyone was participating in the Fate Zero series, which, by the way, Fate Zero is basically about like a bunch of like these like heroes summoned from random times, serving people in this blood-drawn battle to the death, like battle royale style mode for the Holy Grail. And most of the participants in the first series for Fate Zero, they were all adults, which means they were smart. They knew how to handle this whole battle royale scenario. Well, in Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, the people who are participating are a bunch of teenagers, and as we can all know, teenagers are stupid. So what happens, like, it's just freaking battle after battle after battle after battle, which I really loved. And I also love like the love story that was happening in that show. So I got through that, I was like, okay, pretty cool, I loved it. Now, fast forward a few years later, I remember like they announced that they were doing another Fate series spinoff, which was Fate Stay Night Heaven's Feel. And I was like, oh, okay, this looks pretty cool. And then I remember, oh wow, they're gonna focus on one of the characters that was like basically in the background in Unlimited Blade Works. I was like, okay, cool. That's when I realized, when I went to see the movie, it was basically, oh, so it's the event, this is like a spin-off universe that's happening, because now I realized, okay, so in Fate, the original Fate Stay Night, it was love interest with one of the characters, and Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, it was a love interest with the second character. Now with Fate Stay Night Heaven's Feel, it's a love interest with the third character, and that's where the whole story spins off. I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty interesting. Got through the first movie, I was like, okay, that was kind of boring. Now I get to the second movie, I'm like, okay, second movie, a lot more interesting. I also love Aimer, I love her songs in that movie. and also like in the whole like Fate series as well. Now that I realize that they're making the third and final movie, okay, I gotta go see this. I gotta see how this whole Heaven's Feel series concludes. I also am watching, I can't remember the whole title of this Fate series. I think it's called Fate something Babylonia, but I remember like the overall pitch of it was showing like, I think like the origin story of one of the servants. I think it was, shoot, I can't remember his name. I call him Goldie because basically he's decked out in gold armor throughout the whole entire Fate Stay Night series. I can't remember. Gilgamesh. Now I remember. His name was Gilgamesh. And I remember like this character was like, okay, cool. He was kind of like the villain for like the entire like Fate series. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is his origin story then. So I started watching and I'm like, okay, it's something I did not expect at all, but I'm really enjoying because basically taking back, I think, all the way to the Babylonian era. So I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. And you got heroes like Leonidas, which I was like, holy crap, Leonidas in a Fate series, this is badass. And you have other heroes like, and you have like kind of like one of the characters from the Fate series, but she's like a completely different character. Like her name was Rin Tosaka in like the Fate Stay Night series. Well, now she's a same character model that they used, but now her name is Ishtar, and she's basically this flying girl with like shoots laser out of her hands like Iron Man. But I think it's pretty cool, and also I really enjoy how like the series basically it builds up throughout time. Like this Babylonian series is basically like, okay, so we got villain, like battle, but then they go like, there's also like a moment like huge monster battle. We gotta fight this huge monster. Okay, we fight the monster for like 3 episodes. Okay, and then all of a sudden it's like filler, huge monster battle. We gotta fight again. And if I remember correctly, there's like 3 times they fought like 3 gigantic monsters that basically took up like, I think if you add up all episodes together, it's like, I think it's like 9 episodes because each of them is like 3 episodes each. So basically like my experience with Fate's Babylonia, whatever it's called, it's been just like a roller coaster of emotions. So that pretty much sums up my experience with the Fate series. So the last 2 anime I'll talk about right now is Knights of Sidonia and Your Lie in April. And I know like there are a lot of other animes that I watch right now. I just can't remember off the top of my head. But I'll probably do another video where I talk about those animes as well. So let's just finish off this video with Knights of Sidonia and Your Lie in April. So Knights of Sidonia is basically like an anime on Netflix. And I remember like I had it on my watch list for a long period of time. I was thinking, you know what, I'll get to it. And I remember like, it was like, I think it was like 4 years after it was released on Netflix. I was like, okay, you know what, it's time to watch it. I have free time, let me watch it. And I really liked it. So with Knights of Sidonia, it's basically about humanity on this ship that's going to our new planet because Earth was basically completely wiped out by this parasitic spore. And the overall premise of this whole series is that like, it's just humanity escaping this parasitic spore that's hunting them constantly. And the way they can handle it is they do these giant mechs. And the way I kind of perceived it was like, okay, this is basically like Halo mixed with like giant mechs. So I'm like, okay, you know what, sign me up, I'm in. And the battles, they're pretty damn good. I love seeing like these giant like Transformer like mechs or like Gundam style mechs go up against like this flood-like monster, and it's pretty damn good. I love how like they're flying through space, through asteroids, and they're shooting these things out of the sky, and it's like, man, it's really good. Now there are some moments where it's like, it gets a little bit cartoony, it gets a little bit cheesy, which is I'm like, oh, we don't need to see that. But it's like also, what the heck? And so got through that, and I was like, okay, I finished watching Knights of Sidonia, and so let me get to this other series, which is Your Lie in April. Which is funny because now that I think about it, I remember at the time I was watching Knights of Sidonia, I was also watching Your Lie in April, which was also on my Netflix watch list for a long period of time. And since I had like free time, I figured, okay, you know, while I watch Knights of Sidonia, I'll jump to Your Lie in April at the same time. So I went kind of like a back and forth sort of thing. So heartbroken with how this series ended because it doesn't leave like on a downer of a note or a huge cliffhanger. It leads basically on this happy, sad note. It just kind of breaks your heart. And the whole premise of the series is that this guy, he's lost his touch with music after his mom died. And then he meets this girl that kind of just helps him reignite his love for music. And there are some things that happen in that show that's like lead to tragic moments. And I was like, oh no, is this what this series is setting me up for? So I finished watching it. And I remember, dude, I was just like on the verge of tears and how it all ended. but I really loved how the whole series basically wasn't as action-packed as any other anime series I've watched, but it's like the most heartful one that I've seen. And I love how like it basically focuses on music and love, and I love how there are some funny moments in there that kind of lighten it up the moment, but I also love how the overall humanity of it. I love how throughout the whole series it's like, wow, even though like you're in your lowest point, you could still find a moment to smile. So after I finished binging through Your Lie in April, that is actually when I discovered like Zombieland Saga, Goblin Slayer, and Rising of the Shield Hero, which were all airing around the same time. So after I was like done crying out my eyes, okay, I figured like, okay, you know what? I need something more lighthearted. I need something more action and adventure. Let me get into these anime. And that's most of the anime that I've watched so far. So that's gonna do it for this Talk Around the Block video. That was my overall run through all the anime I currently watch right now. If you have any questions or topics you want me to talk about in the next Talk Around the Block video, feel free to leave them down in the comments down below. If you like what you saw, click on the subscribe button so you can always update from this channel. I'll see you next time with a brand new video. Bye-bye.